Hi, I'm Stuart Leask, owner and operator of LeaseSpec, and today is going to be the final installment of the series that I have been doing, which is called Road to GTR Festival. Again, just to reiterate, obviously you've probably seen it by now if you've been following the channel. This is kind of a culmination of showcasing all of the products and everything that I was doing to get ready for GTR Festival, what I'm bringing to the GTR Festival itself, and what is new and what's happening in my garage. With that being said, GTR Festival starts today, officially, on my end as I'm recording this, and it goes through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, hold up. I wanted to make a big effort and a big push to get a video released before GTR Festival because that was kind of the premise behind the small mini-series that we were doing. After driving my car for the weekend and just kind of feeling it out and getting an idea of what this Motec exactly has to offer, I made the executive decision that this was something that was not worth rushing. Sometimes there's products that are just so particularly amazing that it's worth taking the time, stepping back, and really diving into the details and figuring out why exactly it's such a good fit and why it might be a good product for you or any other Skyline owner. So without further ado, let me go ahead and dive in on some of the real in-depth details on this unit and what makes it so special. All right, so let's get into exactly what this package offers and why it's different than a standard Motec product. Kind of show you guys over here what's going on with this. This is Charles's car. It's in for the Motec installation as well. Obviously, this product has been kind of proving itself on quite a few different cars. He saw a little bit of the good results and wants to try it out for himself. So the basics. This is essentially a Motec M130, a product that needs absolutely no introduction, but where everything specific happens is this built-in expansion module. So within this expansion module, you have RJ45 communication for tunability. You have dip switches for various settings that can be changed on the fly, like cam angle position sensor is a big one. Whereas, you know, the two pins get switched between 32, 33, and 34. This can be adjusted on the fly here instead of redoing the wiring harness as, you know, has been common in the past. These two I/O ports are actually part of a CAN expansion, which essentially gives this M130 the power and capabilities of a Motec M150. As far as ECU capability goes, this is about as robust of a unit as you could ever want or need out of a Motec product. In addition, it has the ease and capability of simply accepting a factory RB26 wiring harness. Naturally, there are some cars where it's just going to be a straight Motec installation and they're going straight to a race harness. This product is actually intended to bridge the gap for those that don't want to take all that step. So within this unit, you have all the capabilities of everything that you would ever want from the Motec product, but you also have the ease and capability of simply plugging in your factory engine harness, possibly doing a new one, possibly ordering from wiring specialties, etc. There's quite a few options. Now, as well as the engine communication, this Motec can also take over a Tessa as well with the integration of a required pressure sensor. This ECU can also handle all the functions that you would come to expect out of a Motec unit. So brushless fuel pumps, sequential transmissions, cooling fan controls. Again, I had already mentioned a Tessa control, multiple IOs, drive-by-wire, flex fuel, as well as the optional Motec dual wideband controller, which I've opted to install on my car and I think comes pretty much primarily standard on most installations because essentially that makes tunability an absolute breeze. So the unit is obviously a plug and play and it's made simple with this bracket. This one's an R34, seeing as how we're putting this unit in R34 chassis. I think I've also got some B-roll footage of it going into my car with the R33 chassis. Bolts in just like factory at all the stock locations and then uses these three optional screws to hold it down in place. This is an example of an I/O harness. This one has not been pinned yet, so this is not how you receive it as the end user. This actually comes with the plugs to where everything is just simply plug and play. But what this is this going to be a pre-programmed package where you get all of the fuel sensors that you need, oil sensors, the wideband, the map sensor, and essentially everything to keep this exactly as it's advertised, which is a true plug-and-play installation. I've also laid out the dual wideband controller, but quite honestly, you've probably already seen that plenty of times. So that seems like a pretty easy spec sheet. You can look online, you can pull this information up. Art of Assembly has it listed out on their website. What's so special about the unit? I quite honestly didn't know myself when I first installed it. We got everything set up in my car, and then I had a day to drive it, and I decided at that point in time that that was where we were going to stop the original video, and we were going to come back and we were going to revisit this, because I feel like this is truly a modification that has changed my car in every way, shape, or form. I've had now a full weekend of GTR Festival to and from, just kind of driving around on the streets. It's had to do plenty of cold starts. Bottom line, it just drives perfect. The RPM operates within literally a 5 RPM window from, I think it's something like, I can't remember, but it's like 1100 to like 1055. It seriously just sits there and hums. The transient response from the Spectrum turbos and the controllability of the ECU is absolutely amazing. The tune is absolutely spot on. Coupled with the, granted, I did end up swapping out the cam angle sensor for the HKS twin trigger kit. We had trouble getting ignition signal sync with the cam angle sensor. We think that my cam angle sensor might have been a little bit messed up. That's neither here nor there. Again, once we put in the HKS twin trigger kit, the car became absolutely amazing to drive. And I think a lot of that comes down to essentially the capabilities of the Motec unit itself, the processing speed, the amount of IOs, the tunability, the communication. Everything is literally on a different level. We're not talking about comparing Power FC to Motec, and I'm not trying to say that everything that you put in your cars is bad, and I'm not trying to say that don't go buy Link, go sell your Link, go sell your Haltech. I'm not saying any of that. But what I'm saying is until you've driven a car and ridden in a car that has one of these setups, I think you owe it to yourself to at least experience this and kind of see what the difference is for yourself. It's not just something that you bolt in and then you just go, okay, well, that's the upgrade. That's what I did. It's a tunable ECU. It's something you feel from the seat of your pants, and it's literally quite amazing. I'm going to go ahead and show some of the B-roll of the tuning process. Not that that's anything new, but that's always fun to watch. Some of the quick installation video just to show you how truly plug and play this is. We're going to go ahead and get it fitted into my R33. And yeah, you'll see in the video that essentially by the time it's done, you wouldn't really know it's there. It bolts into all factory locations, as I had mentioned before. It uses all factory hardware. The factory covers all go on. There is just no shortcuts with this unit. It literally is a true plug and play by the very definition of the word. It has insane tunability. The drivability is absolutely night and day. And I can't wait for you guys to check out some of this footage. And then we will kind of go over some of the sensor package and where I chose to lay out everything on my car and how I approached this situation with my install. Ooh, look at how clean. See? Told you. It's even got the anti-temper sticker.
It's about to get cut.
No.
It's about to get cut.
It says don't tamper with it.
Dude, it's kind of funny you have this sticker. It's just crazy.
This ECU was made possible by my friends Roman and Vince over at Art of Assembly. So let's go ahead and start in the engine bay and we'll go from there. So what I've done here is I've tried to make this installation as seamless as possible. What I mean by that is I don't want it to look like there is a lot of aftermarket stuff going on this car. I don't want it to look very different. I don't want a lot of ability things. I kind of just like the I kind of just like when the engine bay has like a little bit of a play on OEM. I hate to use the term OE plus because it's so worn out by now, but the goal is to just kind of keep some semblance of factory underneath the hood of my car, and so that's what I've aimed for. Now, going over some of the biggest things that have changed, obviously I have converted this car to MAP, so there's no longer a MAF systems. The MAP sensor itself is actually hidden right here next to the OEM boost sensor. I've done that so that it can kind of all hide behind the shock tower and stay back there. In addition to that, you can see I've added the remote oil filter setup, and I've done that for a couple of reasons. A, ease of changing oil filters, yada yada. B, it's a good place to go ahead and place the aftermarket oil pressure sensor, in addition to the factory sensors, which I have retained on this car because I actually prefer the look and feel of mechanical gauges. The second thing I've done is I have kind of made a little bracket to move the wiper motor, the wiper relay amp back underneath the shock tower, and I have made a bracket for the I have made a bracket for the Motec wideband controller. One that's a little bit harder to see is I have done an external fuel pressure regulator, namely because I needed to adjust fuel pressure as well as give a good spot for a sensor. And on the underside of it, I have added a Bosch temperature and pressure sensor. The reason I've gone with the dual pressure and temperature sensor is because fuel temperature is also a very important aspect for tuning, amongst many other things. It's often overlooked. So with this array of sensors, I've essentially given the Motec enough communication with the OEM setup and the OEM engine harness, plus the additional I/O harness, etc., so that it can safely control everything that's going on with the car. When we were dyno tuning the setup originally, I had the OEM CAS setup, as I really didn't see a need to go beyond that. I'm not pushing big power on this car. Just a small frame set of twin turbos. But what I was running into is we were losing OEM ignition signal lock at high RPMs with the OEM CAS. So we've actually opted to switch out to the HKS dual trigger kit. I'm usually not a huge proponent of switching over to a trigger kit immediately, especially on such a mild setup, or I guess such a street level setup, you should say. But there is no denying the fact that there is obviously going to be ignition signal wander. You're going to get breakup, you're going to get noise, you're going to get jumping around, etc. So because of that and many other reasons, I have upgraded to the HKS dual trigger kit. The reason I chose HKS is not because I think that anything else is bad. I just prefer that HKS uses an OE style Denso sensor on both the crank and the cam angle sensor setup part of the kit. And to me, that's important, just kind of aiming for like the OEM reliability and everything along those lines. All right, and that just about wraps up all of the footage and the coverage of the Motec ECU. By the time we were done with the tuning process, we had the car out driving on the street. Everything was obviously in safe parameters. The cool thing about this is the check engine light actually still functions. It has two different options, a quick blink for certain parameters and then kind of just like a steady light on for others. So you're never kind of guessing or in the dark about what's going on with it. Not to mention, obviously, there's a plethora of monitoring and there's tons of safety features and parameters that are set on the ECU itself, thanks to Roman at Art of Assembly. So where can you get this package, and who can you call or contact to find out even more information than what I had to share? Roman or Vince at Art of Assembly would be the two people to contact. That's the shop that is single-handedly responsible for creating this ECU, and they would be more than happy to answer any questions you have about it. Feel free to go check out their website. There's pricing. There's a drop-down about any sort of optional pieces or components that you'd be interested in buying, as well as just a little bit more further in-depth information on the product itself. I could sit here and tell you about all the advantages of, again, and I've pressed on it before, the plug and play and everything was what meant the most to me, but they could really go in depth and start explaining all of the advantages to going with Motec, why this ECU has its advantages here, here, and here, and basically what the limits are and what you can and can't do with it. With that being said, I wanted to just go ahead and do a shameless plug. For those that noticed and have asked, the trucker hat is now back in stock. It's something that I've been asked to make a comeback. I guess something I've been asked to make again quite some time. So I heard your requests. I go ahead and put that back in the store, and as well as this shirt. Kind of looks like one of our older designs, but it's been redone a bit to update an old original design. Now it's got the 32, the 33, and respectively the 34 on it. So that about wraps it up for this episode. I'm sorry that it kind of went so technical. I didn't mean for that to happen. I just feel like there's a lot to touch on with this product, and I still don't even feel like I'm really scratching the surface. This is just kind of my experience with it. Somebody that may be a little bit more fluid in tuning or anything along those lines might find even more advantages to it, because I'm sure that many more exist. But again, I just wanted to kind of share my positive experience with you and kind of put this product out there in the wild, because I know that there are a couple shops out there that advertise plug-and-play setups, and obviously this is no smoke towards any of them, but I truly feel like this might be the cleaner option. And yeah, I just basically just wanted to share, and that's it. So anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me babble. I will be back soon with more fabrication now that GTR Festival is obviously over, especially given the date that this video is going to come out. You'll kind of see a lot more titanium fab work. A lot of the products that I had talked about early in the series are going to start coming out more regularly, and we'll be back on to other projects like the R34 GTT. We have a Datsun coming up in the lineup with a new custom exhaust and a couple of other things. Also, if you wish, feel free to like this video and maybe even hit a subscribe if you're interested in more information like this. This channel predominantly follows Nissans, GTRs, import cars, etc. Some of you might find it kind of interesting subject matter. I try to kind of traverse between fabrication, products, and everything else that I do here in the shop. So I try to keep it a wide variety. And hopefully this is something that you guys enjoy watching, and I will keep doing my best to bring these as often as possible. Thank you for watching.